Hello everybody, welcome to the video. I hope you guys are doing very well. So in this video we are going to discuss this pattern that we have here. So let us, without wasting any time, let us start with writing the code. So what logic we are going to apply in this code? This pattern is little different, like very different from the patterns that we are discussing in the previous videos. If you haven't watched them, you can go ahead and watch that video. The link will be in the description. So how we are going to implement this logic? So one thing, let me first draw a block here in order to make this code easier. So 5 number of rows and 5 number of columns, right? So what we are going to do now, one thing we are noticing here, that for the sum of the number of rows and the number of columns, if it is even, right, if the sum of the number of rows and the number of column is even, we have 1. Like for this one, we have 1 plus 1, 2 is an even number, that means we have 1 here. For 0 here, if we see here, 0 is in which position? 0 is in the first column, second row, that means 2 plus 1 is 3, that means 3 is odd, we have here 0. For 1, the number of row is 3 and the number of column is 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. That means 4 is even, we have 1 here. So for every value of 1, we have the sum of number of rows and the number of columns, we have even, right? And similarly, for 0, the sum of the number of rows and the number of column is odd. So that's how we are going to apply this logic here. We will divide the sum of the number of rows and the number of columns, and that way we will print whether we have to print 1 or whether we print 0. For the even we will print 1 and for the odd we will print 0. So let's start by writing the code. We'll write the header file first for C. Then we will write the main function, n for the number of rows, I and j for the loop. Then we will give the command here to enter the number of rows. Number of rows, right? We're giving this command to the user. We will scan the value that the user is inputting. So we have here and n. So this way we have input the number of rows we want, right? If the user inputs 5, we will input this whole pattern. We will have these 5 rows. If the user is inputting 4, so we will have these 4, right? And if the user is inputting 3, we'll have these 3 number of rows, right? So that way we will take the value of n. Now what we are going to do, we will write an outer loop for I. So the outer loop for I will start from 1, will go till the number of rows and it will increment by 1 every time, right? Same for j loop. J loop goes till I. So j loop will go till I and will increment by 1 every time, right? And now what we are doing, what we discussed initially, that the sum of number of rows, this is the number of row, this is for the row and this is for the column. We discussed in the first video of pattern that this is for the column and this is for the row. So the number of row plus column, I plus j. Modulus 2, modulus means we'll get the remainder. If the remainder after dividing by 2 is 0, that means it is even. So we are checking even. And what we discussed, if the sum is even, we have 1, right? So if the sum is even, what we are going to print? We will print 1, correct? Or what is the else condition? We'll have here one more condition. If it is odd, if it is not equals to 0, that means it is odd. So we'll print 0 in that case, right? Then we'll close this outer loop. This is for the if, this is for the else, this is for the outer loop. Then we also have here print f \n and then we'll close this loop and the main function, right? So this is the code that we have here. Let me quickly discuss a dry run. So dry run, we have here n is equals to, let us take n is equals to 2, right? We'll just print 2 number of rows so that it is clear to you how we are going to work with this code. So n is 2, right? So for value of n, I is equals to 1, and we'll check the condition will be till 2 and till n, that is 2. So I is 1, j will start from 1, j is also 1, and j will, the condition for j is j less than or equals to I. So 1 less than or equals to 1, j I is 1, condition is true, right? Means these two conditions are true. We'll get inside the j loop. I plus j modulus 2 is equals to 0. This is the condition that we have. So value of I is 1, j is 1, I plus j will be 2, 2 mod 2 is equals to 0. Condition is true. When 2 is divided by 2, the remainder is 0, right? That means this condition is true. That means it will print 1. What will be printed? 1, right? Then again j will increment by 1. So value of j will be 2. 2 less than or equals to 1. I is 1. So 2 less than or equals to 1. Condition is false. It will come out of this loop, this inner loop, j loop, and it will come here out of this loop here, and will move the cursor to next line with the help of \n command. The cursor will move to next line. Now what we have, the value of I is incremented by 1. That means the value of I is now 2. 2 less than or equals to 2. Condition is absolutely true. We'll get inside of this loop. Now j will again start from 1. J always starts as a fresh loop. So j is 1, right? And j1 less than equals to I. I is 2. Condition true. Condition is true. We will get inside of this loop I plus j mod 2. I is 2. J is 1. 1 plus 2 mod 2 is not equals to 0. 3 by 2 has remainder 1. That means remainder is 1, and 1 not equals to 0, right? That means this condition is false, and we will go and check for the else part, and in else we are printing 0. So we will print here 0, right? Again the value of j will be incremented by 1. So we have here the value of j is equals to 2. 2 less than or equals to 2, condition true, right? We'll get inside of this loop. Now I, what is I? What is the value of I? It was 2, and now what is the value of j? 2. So here we have 2 plus 2, that is 4. 4 mod 2 is 0, right? That means 0 is equals to 0, condition is true. So this, it will print if condition, that means it will print 1, right? It will not check else part. Again it will go and check for another value of j. J is now 3. 3 less than equals to 2, false. It will come out of the loop. The cursor will move to next line, and again the value of this condition will be checked for another value of I. I is now 3. It is incremented by 1. So 3 less than or equals to 2, condition is false. Now it will come out of the loop and the code will end, right? That means for 2 number of rows, for n is equals to 2, for these 2 rows we have this pattern. I hope you guys understood. It is a very simple code. You just need to understand the logic. It's